Volcanoes are some of the most fascinating and powerful forces on Earth. They shape our landscapes, influence our climate, and remind us that the ground beneath our feet is alive. In this video, we are going to explore what I think are the top 5 volcanoes most likely to erupt in 2025. We're going to look at what their eruptions might look like and dive into the science behind why volcanoes erupt in the first place. And spoiler, number 1 is in the United States, and no, it's not Hawaii. But first, let's kick things off with number 5 on our list. Coming in at number 5 is Mount Spur, located in Alaska. This stratovolcano last erupted in 1992, and recent seismic activity, over 1,500 small earthquakes in 2024, has raised its alert level. So, what might an eruption from Mount Spur look like? If Mount Spur erupts, we'd likely see explosive activity with ash plumes reaching 6 to 12 miles into the atmosphere. Ash fallout could disrupt air travel and blanket surrounding areas. Additionally, the icy environment in Alaska increases the risk of something called lahars. Lahars are mud flows triggered by melting snow and ice. Now, while that all sounds rather explosive, it is important to note that while there are signs of unrest, Spur's activity still remains moderate, placing it at the bottom of our list today. At number 4, we have an Icelandic volcano, and I'm going to do my absolute best to pronounce this correctly, but I'm sorry if I'm messing it up. Next up, we have Grímsvötn, one of Iceland's most active volcanoes. Its last major eruption was in 2011, and it sent ash clouds across Europe. Recent increased geothermal activity suggests it could erupt again soon. So, what would an eruption from this Icelandic volcano look like? Well, Grímsvötn's eruptions often begin explosively, thanks to interactions between magma and glacial meltwater. Expect towering ash clouds and massive glacial outburst floods. Now, while Grímsvötn is under close watch, its activity doesn't yet indicate an imminent eruption, so it is just above Spur on our list today. Before we get to the volcanoes that we really think are going to erupt this year, let's take a quick break and talk about the science of why exactly volcanoes erupt in the first place. To understand why volcanoes erupt, we need to journey beneath Earth's surface. Our planet is composed of several layers: the crust, the mantle, and the core. The mantle is a vast layer of semi-solid rock, and it plays a crucial role in volcanic activity. Deep within the mantle, temperatures are so high that rocks melt, forming magma, which is a molten mixture of rock crystals and dissolved gases. Because magma is less dense than the surrounding solid rock, it rises through the Earth's crust, accumulating in magma chambers. Over time, pressure builds within these chambers, and when the pressure becomes too great, magma forces its way to the surface through fractures and vents, resulting in a volcanic eruption. So now you might be asking, why does the pressure build up in the first place? Well, let's break it down. When magma rises toward the surface, it carries dissolved gases like water vapor, carbon dioxide, and sulfur dioxide. Deep underground, the immense pressure from the surrounding rock keeps these gases dissolved in the magma, similar to how soda keeps its fizz when it's sealed. But as the magma moves closer to the surface, the surrounding pressure drops, you pop the top off the soda can, and the gases start to form bubbles. These bubbles grow and multiply, taking up more space and pushing against the surrounding rock. The thicker or more viscous the magma, the harder it is for these gas bubbles to escape. Over time, it's mostly the buildup of these gases that increase the pressure inside the magma chamber. If that pressure becomes greater than the strength of the overlying rock, the magma forces its way to the surface, resulting in an eruption. Other factors, like blockages in the volcanic vent or additional magma entering the chamber from deep below, can also contribute to the pressure buildup. But the key takeaway is that when all of this pressure builds up, it has nowhere to go except up and out, and so the volcano erupts. Alright, now let's get back to our list and see what volcano is the most likely to erupt this year. Ranked 3rd is Canlaon Volcano, located in the Philippines. This volcano has been active recently, and when I say recently, I mean very recently. Its most recent eruption was in December of 2024, and its alert level remains high due to frequent earthquakes and steam emissions. So what would another eruption from this volcano look like? Well, Canlaon typically produces explosive eruptions, with ash plumes rising several kilometers into the sky. These eruptions can affect air travel and pose risks to nearby communities. Cameléon's consistent activity and high alert level makes it one that you should definitely keep a close eye on this year. Coming in hot at number 2 is Kilauea, one of the most active volcanoes on the planet. It erupted multiple times in 2024, including in December, and lava is even still flowing as we enter 2025. Kilauea's eruptions are characterized by steady lava flows rather than violent explosions. These flows can cover large areas, occasionally reaching the ocean and creating dramatic steam plumes. Fissures may open, releasing fountains of lava that light up the night. Given its continuous activity, Kilauea is highly likely to erupt again this year. But the good news is its eruptions tend to be less dangerous than many other more explosive volcanoes, so that's good. Now is a good time also to say that when discussing the likelihood of volcanic eruptions, it is imperative to rely on the current scientific data and monitoring. And I just want to say here that I am not a scientist, I am just a girl who thinks volcanoes are sick. So if you agree or disagree with anything in my ranking, or if you want to add something to the conversation, definitely be sure to leave a comment down below. I love this channel because I think it's a space where we all get to learn cool things about our world together. Anyway, without further ado, let's get to the volcano that is most likely to erupt this year. Our number 1 spot is taken by the Axial Seamount. This undersea volcano sits off the Oregon coast. The Axial Seamount last erupted in 2015, and after a period of dormancy, the volcano has begun to inflate with magma again in 2024. Since January of last year, it has also had a huge uptick in seismic activity. It has had over 100 earthquakes every single day, which seems like a lot of earthquakes. Over the last 800 years, this volcano has averaged one eruption every 15 to 18 years, except in the last few decades, it has had a major uptick in activity. Some people do say the next eruption is likely years away, but there are many others that predict it will happen this year. So if it does erupt this year, what is that eruption going to look like from an undersea volcano? Axial eruptions occur on the seafloor and produce fresh lava flows that are slow and ooze out of cracks. You likely won't see much evidence of the eruption happening above the surface of the water, but below there is lots going on. In fact, the Axial Seamount plays a huge role in reshaping the ocean floor. Something that was so cool to learn about the Axial Seamount is that it is the most closely monitored undersea volcano in the entire world. And because of this, it is home to the first ever underwater observatory. This observatory is located about 300 miles off the coast of Oregon and at a depth of 1,400 meters below sea level. And not only is it monitoring this volcano, but the information that it gathers could be extremely useful to us. In fact, scientists are thinking that when the Axial Seamount does erupt again, the data that we gather from this is going to help us understand volcanoes everywhere a lot more, and help us better predict them in the future as well. So there you have it, the top 5 volcanoes that I think are the most likely to erupt this year. If you liked this video, please go ahead and hit that like button down below, and if you really liked it and you want to learn more about volcanoes, I happen to have a whole bunch of videos on them, so go ahead and check those out right here. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.